Welcome everyone to the National Veterans Network, a radio show where we showcase veterans, community supporters, and we share with our audience the great work that people do around our communities, around our nation. This is the National Veterans Radio Show, and today we're going to have Joshua Norris, who is a veteran supporter. Um, he's a advocate for veteran programs. He supports his community, and it's our pleasure to have Joshua in our show today. He has a company called Port 14 in, which is an interesting name. So I wanted to bring Joshua to kind of explain more what that is. Put 14 in is an organization connected with the baseball community. So Joshua, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And so that's an interesting name. And like, what is Put 14 in? Can you tell us a little bit what that is?
Certainly. Put 14 is an effort to put Ken Boyer in the Hall of Fame. His jersey number was number 14. And he's the only Cardinals player who's retired here in St. Louis who's not yet in Cooperstown. And one of the important things about his story in my life and how it applies to communities and how it can assist veterans is the expansiveness in the way it entered my life. It wasn't that I met Ken Boyer personally, but the impact he had on those he was personally involved with impacted our lives throughout our youth. And so we established this idea of, well, how does one embrace challenge and what are the goals that one should fight for? And so when we look at the warfighter experience from both sides, both in the military and outside of the military, as I am outside of the military completely, establishing a great community around ideals that are expansive and caring is what Put 14 is about. His life echoes amongst those he touched. And this develops strength. And I think it's important to make a great community because great communities are worth fighting for. It's one of the strengths of the American economy is that it's participatory and expansive. And so that's how Put 14 in kind of ties in with a larger ideal about entrepreneurship and veterans affairs in general, is making a strong community beyond our own lives.
Okay. So this is kind of relates to visionary thoughts, leadership, and how the communities are impacted. And that's so true because as a veterans chamber, we follow the ideals of our great nation. Liberty, freedom, equality, defense of democracy. All those principles that resonate everywhere. But you're right. All those principles are reflected within our families and through us to our communities. And that's really what we stand for. And Joshua, we always welcome within our organization and our community supporters of the veteran community. Some of us who are veterans and some of us are military. Our families are connected, and that's great. But also there is it's a huge group of supporters that we work with, or that they just want to support and they just love working with veterans. So I just wanted to thank you for that desire to be part of our community and to support the mission of our organization and many other organizations out there who do such a great work. So can you give us a little more detail how this is, or anything else you want to share about your goal and your mission?
Sure. So obviously the straight, most objective thing is to put Ken Boyer in the Hall of Fame. But right. Beyond what you said, the visionary aspect is what we promote throughout the ecosystem. So Ken Boyer, he took in a young man and that young man didn't have the support that oftentimes many of us need. And so that young man grows up and has a set of twins. And those twins and I have been friends since we were kids. And we've
Mm.
always reflected upon that kind gesture that this great baseball player did for their family. And so when you're engaging in these childhood dialogues of what do I do when I grow up? What
Right.
matters? What's most important? We always had this aspect of here's this guy who hits this grand slam in the 64 World Series, I think 5 Golden Gloves, 6 MVPs, an NL and National League MVP to his name. And what mattered to them was the kindness that he did for his father. And this is that visionary thing that the echoes of your life go beyond. Yeah, he had no idea when he did that thing that it was to me trying to do this for him. And this is it's this visionary aspect that we want to promote, that the stuff that you do and live for, it may not always turn out the way you want, right? He died young. The chance for him to pursue his own Hall of Fame bid, it was cut short.
Mm.
But those things that often don't pan out in our lives, they go beyond us. And so, like, right now, I sell coffee for Starbucks, right? I fell upon a difficult time and I had to think fast. And I'm okay doing that because I know the integrity of my actions actually matter more, because it matters to my daughter. It matters to my son. For them to see how we encounter difficulties aren't always judged by what is going to even just last my lifetime. And so this is what I think is going to be important, because even speaking to some veterans just earlier some active duty military personnel this week at the ballpark stadium, asking them about what their journey as a veteran is going to be like, and talking to them about their entrepreneurship dreams, is that it's essentially going to be a redefining of the American dream. What is going to matter? Is it just a picket fence anymore? Is it going to be, a sense of an American nuclear family? And so the importance of entrepreneurship, especially in the dedicated warfighters and beyond their active military careers, is what is going to matter. They're going to come across hard times. You can't say every veteran out there is going to, they're going to win every entrepreneurship battle they're going to have. But the way they encounter them, the way their lives echo, it's going to redefine America.
That's a good point, because we're veterans, we're a chamber of commerce, so commerce is very important for us, as well as employment and education and family and faith and all those things that are very important. They're pillars of our society, and we support them all. But when you're talking about the challenges that we go through, and you're right, I mean, as a veteran, coming out of the military, most of us face challenges. Most of us do, or many of us do. And so how do we overcome those challenges? What do we do? How do we respond? And how do we, fall and get up? And I tell you, in the military, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of struggles that the people go through while on active duty, and they overcome. We all have to overcome those challenges. But when we count the civilian environment, those we call those, sergeants or drill sergeants or whatever that is, are no longer there. So who is going to really give us the guidance and the instruction, or the get up and keep going, get up and move on? Well, those are the mentors that, whether we know them or not, they have impacted our lives. Like in your case, I mean, you had no idea, and he had no idea how much that impacted you, that you're also impacting your own family. I mean, the legacy is just amazing. So we teach entrepreneurship, as you know. And one of the things that I tell people, if you want to be a boxer, you see, and now you want to be a boxer and you don't want to be hit, then boxing is not for you. If you want to be a great boxer, you're probably going to enjoy being hit a lot. And the more you enjoy, the better boxer you will be, and those kind of things. So business is the same way. In business, success doesn't come the first time. Usually doesn't. Nothing is overnight. And failure is something that we learn to do and we learn to deal with. It's like when you have your daughter and your son, and as they learn to walk, they fall and they get up and sometimes cry, sometimes down, and then soon they learn to walk, and they learn to protect themselves. And as kids, we all do that. Business is the same way. So as someone from the military comes out to do a business in civilian world and start a business, that realization is kind of the same. It's like starting to walk. You're gonna have failures. So practicing is in a small scale. The failing part of it is a tremendous lesson, because then that's where we learn how to recoup, how to embrace the challenges, the things that don't go our way, because most things don't go our way, as you know. Most things don't go our way. It just that's the way life is. But the purpose of that is to teach us how to get up, how to move forward, how to go around things, how to climb that wall, how to go around the wall, how to dig a hole in the wall or around or under the wall. I mean, we just have to find our ways. But without those challenges, we are not prepared, So that's part of the training. I mean, basic training taught us that there is so many the obstacles that we have to overcome. Now, our training, our boot camp or training camp, now we call it life. And, that life teaches us the same way. When we fall, how do we get up? What's the approach that we're using, and how many times? Because we don't fall one time. So you're totally right. So learning entrepreneurship and dealing and learning how to try things so we can manage risk is important, because a lot of people in entrepreneurship, they think, lose it all, they call it burning the ship. Like, no, please don't. I mean, please don't. So there is a manageable way of risking everything, but that's not the way. It's like, it doesn't work that way.
Unless you have something to fall back on, you want to avoid desperation. Desperation is going to can put you into situations in which you can be forced to make choices that you can't win in.
Oh,
and so not putting yourself in desperate situations is a necessary skill set, especially in the civilian part of it. You have a broad selection of character traits amongst other people. It is, and this is where I think really the importance of veteran participation in entrepreneurship is going to be pivotal in the future of entrepreneurship, is that it's reestablishing or creating an acceptable system of character in the free marketplace. I'm a firm advocate in that dishonesty is really a waste of time. It wastes time, especially as a researcher. I have to double check all your facts. Now, granted, I should double check your facts, but as a necessity, just to make sure that we're on the same page, is a waste of time. So establishing a sense of character in the free market is important in lowering the threshold of conversations. Because yes, so many things are important.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, because sometimes entrepreneurs, they get into in business with the one purpose and one purpose only: to make money. And if that's the only purpose, then you are most likely going to be wasting your time, because in that mentality, there is no happy rainbow at the end of the tunnel. Because unless you're following the principles that make you feel good, that feeling the principles that make you feel successful, that makes you feel happy. Money is just numbers. Money is just paper. It doesn't bring anything else. Yeah, I can buy you a car, but how many cars can you buy without after you have way too many cars? You can only drive one at a time. What that stinks, you know. But so having the principles and that as the north, as the compass on how you do business is so critical, so critical. And I think success becomes juicier when you can actually enjoy from the beginning to the end of the success.
Mhm.
So key. So many parents, so many fathers, so many moms, they may, they spend 20 hours, 16 hours at work chasing that, doing the chasing the dollar. And in the meantime, family suffers. We do have to have sacrifices, and I understand that. But as an entrepreneur, if you're not managing your time correctly, you are going in the wrong direction, my friend. Right?
Mhm.
Because you can buy another car, but you cannot buy happiness for your family.
Mhm.
That you cannot do, and
No,
you
that's
cannot.
go on.
No, I'm saying, and that's you cannot buy a community of happiness unless families, because the families together, families is the dots in the line. If the dots in the line go in line, you have a straight line. But if the dots don't connect, then the families are not connected, the community is not connected. So you cannot have a straight line,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm. Yes,
So,
I really think to the point of it's a great way to redefine the American dream, to
oh,
redefine
absolutely.
in ways that is more flexible, that is more expansive than a white picket fence, that is more achievable than a white picket fence. Um, and that's because that's going to be the challenge is how when we look at the other that we have, like how do we adopt a brand new energy economy? It's going to require a paradigm shift in what we value in the end. And I was reading an article just yesterday. It was about interior design, right? So I
Mhm.
point it lands me on a different magazine each day, and I read it. And so I landed on interior design, and the article was speaking about the way you can design your home. And as weird as it may sound, it struck me as if you can redesign that home to be your starting point, then however you get to work, it doesn't matter. Then however you earn your dollar, it doesn't matter because that home is going to feel great. And you can come back every day and sleep in that bed. And yeah, however you have to face tomorrow's challenge, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Uh, so it's going to be, yes. So that's why I'm very pleased to be on the show because the veterans, with how important the GI Bill has been, it's going to help redefine the American dream and help us prosper as we face challenges going forward in a myriad of ways. Um,
Well, absolutely. And because and it all comes from the values and the principles of the veteran,
mhm,
which are following the principles of America, which again is freedom, liberty, equality, respect, and inclusion, all those things that America stands for. That's really what makes us veterans, and that's really what we follow. That's why we wave the flag. That's why we honor other veterans. That's why we honor heroes, because it's not the individual, it's not the piece of cloth, it's what it represents. Those are the values, because anyone can buy a flag. That doesn't mean they really understand what that means. But those of us, or anyone who does, then it becomes an intrinsic value, which is reflected on how they behave, on the families, their communities, in business. I mean, one of the things is it's nothing wrong with making money. Absolutely, that's part of it. But greed is the dark side of success, you know and so as long as we the more we move forward in a more positive environment, and success feels better. But like we have businesses that we definitely don't support, and definitely we hope they change. But we have veterans who go to school, and we have schools that still nagging them to get student loans, when student loans are the downfall of so many people who graduate from school. That's wrong. Or when you have companies who charge individuals 30+% on an interest rate, that's wrong. So there's a lot of things that don't have to be, but educating our communities on how to prevent those potholes on the road, because there's always dark areas, in the cities, in whatever. We need to learn and teach others how to prevent those. Like you're teaching your child, your son, your daughter, to ride a bicycle. You tell them where to ride. You don't take them to the freeway.
Not
Right?
yet.
Now, on the bicycle, you don't do it, right? So same thing in business. We want to educate not just veterans, but everyone on the different obstacles and where to practice safely, and where to get the credit the right way, where to get the education correctly. So we have schools who are veteran friendly, so they don't push down on student loans. We have lenders who provide lending the right way. We have real estate agents who sell what fits you, not what fits their commission. So those kind of things that are ethical, that have the principles that you're talking about today. So we have one more minute before our producer turns off the lights. So, Joshua, what if you were to give a message to our community, veteran and non-veteran community, what would that be?
The future is going to require us to rethink our lives and redefine the American dream, and redefine it in ways that are going to be along the lines of American values, but a true American value. Not necessarily having to be in the world of consumerism, but again, making money is not its own evil. And to realize that you can't buy yourself out of vices. And so,
Yeah.
as the military gentleman I spoke to the other day at the ballpark, it's character and character building, and just sticking with that even through the hard times, and never being afraid of learning something brand new. And sometimes these journeys are long, but even if your flag should maybe sometimes be at half mast, there will be somebody there who will raise it again.
Absolutely. And those are really great words of wisdom. And again, just wanted to thank you for coming on the show,
Thank you.
sharing your mission, your goal for this particular part of it. And once you accomplish this, I'm sure you're going to continue the legacy. And we're here to support you, and we can always bring you back. And also, if you we ask, or we invite you, more asking, invite you to participate with us in whatever your capacity, your community, to spread the word and to spread those principles and values that we stand for and that you recognize, and see how we can support the community where you're at.
Mhm.
So again, thank you very much. We'll be in touch. You have our contact info, and thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like to also thank Jimmy, our producer, our backstage, always hiding but doing a lot of great stuff. Our other hosts, Dali and Shelly, who are also part of our host team. Laura, who does all of our coordination with our guests. And so I want to thank everyone. I also want to thank our supporters and sponsors. Savio, one of our sponsors, and all other sponsors who, small or large, contribute to the show to make sure that we bring this show to you at no cost, and we continue sharing and showcasing heroes in the community, such as Joshua and others. Again, thank you very much for participating, and we'll see you next time.